No one does anything to deserve or not to deserve a child.
I walked into marriage with the idea that
a baby is a gift.
In that moment, what were you thinking?
I thought, we will get kids like anyone else. So I remember that was very difficult because it was the reality of a crushed hope and a crushed dream.
I was calm. I was calm.
I realized just maybe 2 years ago that intimacy is also important in other relationships. It's not just a marriage thing. And here intimacy is, my friends know what space I'm at.
I think often what friends fail to do is they end up treating their waiting friend as their diagnosis. Whether it's you're the bereaved friend, you're the broke friend. And that normally is 2 or 5 or 10% of a person. And then you forget the other 90%, value.
Hanging out with you guys is like a breath of fresh air. Do people ever tell you that hanging out with you is a breath of fresh air?
Is the point we borrow? This is the point I think we borrow the line from Sam. Yeah, we have that effect on people.
Who is Sam?
Sam is a friend of ours who we joke him and humility are not friends.
Okay.
Parted ways.
They parted ways. Mm-hmm. He sanitized.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Him and humility parted ways.
Yes, and he sanitized against it.
I know that you're becoming parents soon, and I know that this has been a very, important journey for you guys. So how has that journey been like for you guys?
It's had different seasons, I think earlier on when we got married, like any couple, you would think, the natural trajectory of marriage is that you get in, you get kids. The people don't pray about, Lord, if it's your wish, let us get. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe there are a few couples that do that, but most people don't because our society, we come from Kenya and I think Africa in general, and maybe a few other communities that are like us. Kids are just the part of marriage. In fact, if you say we've decided to stay without kids, people look at you like you've said something that is abominable and that should never be said. So our journey, I think the point I'm going to is it's been long. It's had different seasons. When we got in, we were just like any other couple, I guess. I thought, we will get kids like anyone else. But interesting enough, Saya has always been like, I'm not sure I want kids from the very beginning, So for him, it was always, if they come, okay. If they do not come, all right. And for a long time, that stressed me. For the first 2 years of marriage, I think that really stressed me because I'm like, now, what if the kid comes and this guy does not want a kid?
Yeah.
It will be disastrous. So that really killed me and ate me up for a long time initially because I just thought I really wanted kids. Maybe not really wanted, but for me, kids were, we need to get kids. But also, I feel like I'm summarizing a lot. Maybe you need to fill in.
No, you're good. You're doing well.
Yeah. So also, though, that's what helped to make the weight, the weight that we've been through, not reasonable, but manageable. Because for me as Karen, I knew that there was no pressure from Saya to get kids. I know that there are women out there who, this is a real struggle, and my heart goes out to you. I totally empathize, where there's family pressure from maybe the husband side, and there's husband pressure, and that just, I think, creates a situation that is really difficult because already for many women, being childless is a real difficulty that most have to navigate. And so when you add all these other pressures and stressors, especially when it's your spouse and your spouse's family, that's, putting on pressure, I think it's unmanageable. I think it's very difficult. I can't imagine myself going through that. So also that Saya was open to whether kids come or not made it a lot easier. And I feel like maybe you should stop me and ask specific questions, because I feel like I'm now going all over the place.
You're good. You're a fan. You're good. Keep going. Keep going.
No, well, I was also gonna say this. So, what there are people who used to come and they're like, so I mean, kids, anything like that.
Yeah.
Of course.
This one's the
Yeah. In every African culture, I think there will be. There are people who asked, a couple of times, maybe, give up asking.
Would they make jokes as well when they're asking? They're like, hey, you are the ones who've decided.
There's one guy who made a very bad
I think
joke.
we covered the full gamut. The people who asked like out of genuine concern. Then there were people who asked like almost militarily. And then there were people who asked like with a lot of tact. And then there were people who'd make either maybe well-intentioned but off-sounding jokes, And they came from all places, church, among your friends. Yeah, so the full gamut is there. Yes, those who came and suggested or just told you I'm praying for you, and you're like, I didn't say we needed prayers. Those who began telling you about they know a healer somewhere or some medicine that can be sent to you, and I'm like, no, dude, I'm fine. I'm very fine. I'm totally healthy. We can do this thing. Yeah, so cover the full gamut. Yes, but babes, you're doing well. Continue.
I want to give a shout out to a sponsor of this episode, Olympic Auto Center. Olympic Auto Center has been servicing car enthusiasts and car owners for more than 3 decades, servicing the Twin Cities and the state of Minnesota since the 90s. They have the experience, the passion, and the will to make your ride smooth. If you are in need of towing services, auto repair, or buying a new or used car, reach out to Olympic Auto Center now.
You continue with questions that will help break this journey down, because
so
13
was
years
there
is a
any
long
point
time
that you
told.
thought that maybe we should go to a hospital and look at this? And when you went, what are you thinking if you went?
Yeah.
What are you thinking when you're walking there? Are you like, okay, what are they going to tell me?
Yeah.
Okay, what is
Yeah. Yes. So at some point, I think maybe that must have been, we got married in 2012. And I think when we first went to hospital, it was 2016.
I think 14.
Really? No, it was just before I went to South Africa.
It can be 2016 because I'd already come from, 2016.
Yeah,
2016,
thereabouts, 2015 or 2016.
Yes.
So a couple of years in. And it was really because I had discovered that I had something called endometriosis, for those who know what endometriosis is. So it was more about just maybe not really, it was in the package of, so let's understand exactly what's happening. So we went to see a doctor, of course. We saw fertility specialists in Nairobi. And I remember the first one we saw, when he made a certain, what is it called, diagnosis, that meant we would not have kids, or that it would be difficult. I mean, of course, there are options that they talk you through, like IVF, and, but that's the reality at that point is you're not thinking about other treatment options, So when he made that diagnosis, I think Saya was going back to work. We met at the doctor's office, and, but he needed to go back to work or someplace, and I was going back home. I remember walking out, and I could literally feel, that thing they say, a potato that's stuck on your throat.
Yeah.
I could literally feel that. and tears just wanted to flow. But I'm like, I'm walking on the street. It was right there by the stage. And I remember walking out and thinking, I feel like I just want to sit on the road and weep, for dear life. But at the same time, I needed to be put together, because I need to take a mat home and I need to, to get to my destination. And so I remember that was very difficult because it was the reality of a crushed hope and a crushed dream. At that point, I was like, okay, so I will never be able to have the joy of carrying my own baby in the womb or even just being a mother. I think those realities suddenly, and if you've been in that space, I think you understand what I'm saying, that, those realities just come into your mind and you're like, okay, this is of crushed hopes, crushed dreams, and you're trying to bury them and you're like, how will I even manage to bury this? And so that was very painful and hard at that point.
So does Saya come to, I guess it comes in, so in that moment, what were you thinking?
I was calm. I was calm. It may sound too spiritual to be true, but I walked into marriage with the idea that the two of us were complete. Okay, like, I don't know where I got that from, but this was marriage. It was, for me, kids were going to be a bonus. Like on a resume, having children is an additional bonus. And so I genuinely, when I say the statement, like, I'm okay without kids, I meant it. And I'm okay with kids, I meant it. I meant it. So when the doctor said that, because I was going back to work, what the two things that were going on in my mind were, okay, looks like this is one of the options. My priority then is, how do I support Karen, who I knew really wanted kids? How do I, how do I be there for her? How do I support? How do I diffuse the, pressure or any tension, and just, grieve with her, because this is going to be a grieving period. More for hand, for me. So that's really what was on my mind. So I was not crushed, as it were, or devastated, because I think I'd had an open mind. My posture towards the whole thing was open, whichever way it goes. Yes.
Yeah. And so then you, I guess, did you ever share this with anyone?
Yes, I did. I mean, females share. Men do not share. But I did with my closest friends.
Yeah.
Who are like my sisters. So I had breakfast at our house in Gumo. I invited them over and I just told them what was happening, and we cried together, prayed together. And then they have been with me the rest of the journey, really. Yeah.
So when you say the rest of the journey, what have they been doing? Just calling you and...
No, you see, the interesting thing is I'd have to take this a step back. So before I discovered that I had endometriosis, which is, the disease that I'm talking about, somehow I feel, the Bible says, with every temptation, God provides a way of escape. I think, that was so true in this, with regards to this matter. So what had happened is, there's a friend who was my landlady, and she used to run a program called Brides for Life, Wives for Life. Patricia Morogami, those who know her, Dr. Patricia Morogami. So, and she still runs amazing programs now. So she had run such a program, and I was in one of the cohorts. And this time they had called in a fertility specialist. We were in Serena, and we were just having like a workshop seminar about being a wife and, just transitioning to, for those who are preparing to go into marriage and those who are already in marriage. And so one of the speakers was a fertility specialist. I don't remember her name. And God provided answers that I didn't know I needed at that point. Remember, at that point, I don't know anything about it's just like 3-4 years in fact, maybe it was 2 years in marriage. So we are not worried then at that point about why we're not getting a kid. I don't know about endometriosis. So really at that point, I
just
knew that
walking
kids
into
would
it.
come.
Yeah.
And at some point, we weren't even trying so hard at that point really to get a kid. And so this lady shows us something about how a baby happens. And I remember thinking, whoa, God, that is a true mystery and a part of you and your creation that you share with human beings. And it wasn't mandatory for you to do that. Like it's something that he orchestrates 100%. When she was just explaining how the odds the sperms have to go through to get to the egg, how the cells divide, what happens after the fertilization happens. Like the whole process of making a baby is just God. It's not human at all. Like there's no human ingenuity that comes into it. And she made one statement that stuck with me the rest of the time, and perhaps which has carried me to this day. She said, no one does anything to deserve or not to deserve a child.
I want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to a sponsor of this episode, Candy Home Survey Realty. If you want to buy a property, whether it's a property for you to live in or a commercial property for you to invest in, reach out to Candy. Candy Home Survey Realty has made it possible for multiple lives to be transformed. If you want to transform your life today and move to one of the coolest provinces in Canada, reach out to Candy Home Survey.
She said, no one does anything to deserve or not to deserve a child. In other words, you might get a girl who has had a 16-year-old who was just playing around, fooling around, and then she gets pregnant. Or you have an 18-year-old who aborted when she was 16, but she gets pregnant and gets babies like, she's even wondering what to do with the babies. And then you get this virgin who got married at 30 years old as a virgin. And alas, and she's never, done any of these things. And then she doesn't have a kid. How do you reconcile all that? And so that statement she made, in other words, that no one does anything to deserve or not to deserve. The point is creation, like the thing you do is only it's just one thing, you know each other, as the Bible would put it. But thereafter, the process is not on you or me, because you cannot control whether the egg will travel right, whether the sperms will travel right. Like the rest of the process is a totally God process. And that's what that statement means, that no one does anything to deserve to
Deserve or
to
not
deserve or not to deserve a baby.
Yeah.
And so I remember after that session thinking, Lord, if you ever share this creation power with me to experience it, glory be. I praise your name.
Yeah.
If you don't, I cannot hold you against it. And then something else that I think stuck with me from that session was a baby is a gift, just because of, this process that happens and that God takes the whole, you cannot claim anything over making a baby except one part.
Yeah.
And it's a very small part. And so that a baby is a gift. And I remember thinking, you remember the thing we spoke about earlier, that when my parent gives me, they will buy me gifts they bought me gifts in the course of my younger life. But just because they did not buy me the same gift as my brother doesn't mean they dislike me.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember that stuck with me in a very profound way that I don't know if I can explain. It was so profound that, again, it changed how I viewed the whole experience. So I remember God specifically saying to me, or me having that impression, that if God gives me this gift of a child, thankful. If he doesn't, does that mean, like I had to go through the process and the questioning, does that mean that he's not God to me then? He's not good and kind. And hasn't he given me other gifts? And then the last thing was the realization that the best gift he could give me, he has given me. And what's that gift? Jesus. Jesus dying on the cross for me. And then I know sometimes when we speak about these things, it seems so far-fetched, but that was my experience where I felt, oh, God has given me the ultimate perfect gift of Jesus Christ. And then if he tops up with a child, oh, great. If he doesn't, I will still love him for God because he's given me what I think is the ultimate gift. So those three things stuck in my mind. Remember, I know nothing about endometriosis. I know nothing about whether I'll get a child or not at this point, but they just stuck with me. So fast forward everything. When this finally happens, even though there was a brokenness, granted, because I guess we're human, we have dreams and, and desires. So there was that brokenness and there was a phase that I had to navigate that and grieve that. But those three things stuck with me so hard that even when I cried with those three truths in my mind.
Yeah.
That he's given me the ultimate gift. It's a thing that he does, and I didn't do anything wrong to deserve honor. So for me, it wasn't why me, God, It was never that. I never asked him that. It's just painful.
Yeah.
And, I take the pain to him. So those things really stuck with me. And I think for me as a woman, because I think it's difficult for women, even, no matter where you're at, for me, those three things helped me to navigate this season so much better. And of course, like any one of you, I know like there's a phase for where you're broken, and then there's a phase where you can't see any pregnant woman. Then there's a phase where you cannot go to baby showers because you're like, baby showers just remind you of your
loss.
And what you do not have. And then there's the part where your friends are getting pregnant, but they fear telling you because they feel sorry for you. It's like when someone loses a husband, suddenly they become like a plague. And I get, because I think people don't know how to navigate those things. So sometimes the easier way is to keep off. And then that hurts because they're not telling you that they are pregnant. And you're like, but you're my friend, So there's that season. And then for me, thankfully, it came to a season of acceptance. I know that there are people who are still stuck on those like 4
Initial
areas.
steps.
Yeah. But for me, there was a point of acceptance where I even told God, Sasa, me, I'm happy. I am so happy with just the two of us. Like, especially when we could just pack our bags and go to Cape Town. Or pack our bags and come to the US.
town,
I was like, oh, being without a baby is so much freedom, So I reached that point where I was like, I actually don't want kids. I am fine.
Yeah.
And I think surrender for, I have forgotten, that story is closed, sealed. This is God's will for our lives. People would ask me questions, or they would ask us questions like, so what will you do when you're old? Who will take care of you? I'm like, people have children who sometimes
Still don't take care of them.
don't take care of them, right?
Yes, they keep them in retirement homes or something like that.
Yeah, so those stopped being questions for me. I'm like, but God will take care of us because he's the one who takes care of people. So I navigated, I think, and I think I'm talking as I, because Saya was on a different plane, as we've already said. The plane for if they come, if they don't come. So I think the navigating it was mostly me being comfortable and accepting this phase.
Yeah.
And I think when I reached the point of surrender, that was so blissful. So blissful. Like,
sitting here and listening to you,
yeah.
I've listened to the way, you've narrated your story of, Patricia Murugami, taking you through a Brides for Life or Wives for Life program, and how then that prepares you for the news that was to come. And I'm, going back to, the way we started that, the gifts, as you explained, God gives you these gifts or opportunities to prepare you for everything else that is to come, and how thankful that is for him. I just want to go back to your friends. So you hang out for breakfast and you tell them, hey, what is what I'm going through, and so you say they walked with you through life. I what is that working with you like? So are they calling you to remind you, or even when they are, if any of them calls you and they probably tell we are praying for you, if they ever did that, does that make you feel like, man, why are you telling me this? Would you be would I then I feel like if I were in the shoes of your friends, I would probably be a bad friend because I wouldn't know how to act, behave around you.
Yeah.
So how would you say that their relationship was like, or what they do that helped? And hopefully this becomes maybe helpful for someone who's watching us, and maybe they're in that situation, they are a friend to someone, and this is what they're doing for them. And even better yet, what would you have wanted them to do that probably they didn't do, or probably did?
Yeah. Good question. So I think with friendship, it's to be there, to just be there with the different seasons. So when I needed to cry about it and grieve my loss, or rather this crushed dream and realization, they were there. Like they would listen to me talk about the pain and what I feel, and then cry with me, those who cry, and then pray with me. So they weren't trying so hard to say the right things. I think that's an important piece. If you're a friend to someone who's on this waiting journey, don't try so hard to say the right thing. I think the most important piece is to be present and to be acquainted with this is the season, and that your friend can call you up and say, I feel terrible. At this point, I feel very bad about that I want to be a baby, or I have been called to this baby shower, but to be honest, my heart is breaking and I can't even show up at that baby shower. So it's to be there for the person in those moments, rather than trying so hard to say the right things and the right words. And so when I needed to, back to how my friends walked with me through the journey, is when I needed to talk about it and what is it called? It's not really reminiscing, but
Like debrief or talk it through.
Yeah, talk it through, debrief, and know where I really am with my emotions. I'd call them and we would talk. And sometimes maybe not even the whole crew, but whoever I would find, or whoever I thought I can call at that point, or whoever was closest at that point. So we would talk about it. And then in the seasons when I was like, oh, guys, this thing, I think we've left it to the Lord, they also knew it. So it was sort of, the way marriage has an intimacy that I realized just maybe 2 years ago, that intimacy is also important in other relationships. It's not just a marriage thing. And here intimacy is, my friends know what space I'm at a certain point in time, just like my husband needs to know what space I'm at any point in time, because that is what binds people together. So I think just being able to tell the one who's navigating and the friends, being able to talk to them and keep them up to date with where I was and the season of life I was in helped. So they didn't try to say the right things. They didn't call me to say, we are praying for you. They didn't call me to say, have you tried IVF? Because when I thought about, if there was I don't think I thought about IVF really. Did we ever think about IVF? It was very clear to us that God hadn't given, not that IVF is wrong, just so that that's out of the way and clear. So just being present for the person who's navigating whatever waiting season. I guess it doesn't even have to be a child or baby waiting season, because the waiting seasons in our lives are many and different. Sometimes it's a friend who's waiting to get married. All her friends are married. Sometimes it's a friend who's lost a partner. at a very young age in marriage. So the waiting season and is waiting perhaps to remarry, the waiting seasons are different, but the principle is the same, to be present in the different seasons for your friend and not, really trying so hard to be super, because there's nothing also that you can say that will, at the end of the day, I feel like it's such a spiritual journey, so that God may use you to say the right things, but you as a person sometimes, cannot really say the right things. So don't try to mint words, to say the right thing.
Yeah.
Just be present. And if God gives you a word while you're being present, then he will speak to the person through you.
Saya, okay.
And
also, as you're talking about what you want to talk about, I also want to throw in a question. If you had anybody that you shared this with, like a group of men who are working through this with you. But yes, you can go on with your...
the second part of that question is easier. No.
Okay.
Like, for me, there was nothing to share. Like, I was at peace.
Okay.
And the rest is I'm supporting my wife. I frankly didn't feel any need to share, because it was really, from my end, there was nothing to share. And I don't think it was my place to go sharing the Karen side, because Karen had support for what she needed. The part she's telling you is all those things with her friends, I used to be that other friend, when she's going through the seasons, she's going through with me. So those are the pillow talks and everything in it. So I didn't, and I think even to the extent when people would ask me, like, "Are you guys kids and stuff?" I would honestly tell them, like, "No, we're okay," and they'd feel I'm either being defensive or escapist. But I'm sure even when they'll watch this, I'll be like, "This guy's hiding something." No, I was genuinely at peace. Like, if I got a child, I'm great. If I don't have one, I'm great. So I had no sense of alarm or concern or brokenness about the thing. I just guess maybe some things God makes you that way and you're at peace with it. But on the things for what friends should do, having had to be that friend who listens to all of this, is I can't iterate enough. Don't try manufacturers. And I think maybe when you're the spouse, if you even try to manufacture ads, you'll run out because the emotions change from day to day and week to week. What was felt last week is not what is felt this week. So you can't be there generating stuff. But what you can do is you can hold space. Okay? What you just need to do is to hold space, and instead of trying to fill it with words, then if you must say something, ask questions. And just be a good listener. So ask questions and be a good listener. Then the second thing you can do is do not treat the waiting person like their diagnosis. You're not your diagnosis. So that we've had 13 years of marriage, and to be very honest, we've just not been talking endometriosis every day. Okay, Karen has very many amazing values and things to talk about. When endometriosis wants you to talk about it, you will, because it's very painful, especially at certain points in the month. So it'll make sure you won't forget about it. So the rest of the month, when it is not paining, don't worry. You don't need to talk about that. There's many more. We can plan the next hike. We can do. But I think often what friends fail to do is they end up treating their waiting friend as their diagnosis. Whether it's you're the bereaved friend, you're the broke friend, you're the waiting to relocate friend. And then, and that normally is 2 or 5 or 10% of a person. And then you forget the other 90%, value. Marriage would be boring by now if the only thing we ever talked about was endo. But fortunately, it isn't, because we talk about a whole sort of, I'm giggling because there's a friend of mine who we were hanging out with. So Karen and him, and he was like, you guys talk about very deep things as a couple and you treat it like normal. And until that point, Karen and I didn't realize it was deep things. For us, that's normal conversation. So the point is this: don't treat your spouse or the friend you're supporting through like their diagnosis, because the diagnosis will speak for itself, and B, there's much more value. Again, don't do the thing for avoiding that every time they want to talk about this, you're avoiding trying to bring a happier topic and stuff. No, when they are ready to talk about a thing, talk about it, lean into it. And a third thing then that you therefore need to do that is very related to that is become literate about their struggle. So if it's about endo, study, read something about what endometriosis is so that you know when they're saying this pain, you have an understanding, or you can put in, we say if the most intelligent thing you can say to your friend is or wacha, then you've not done your homework enough. So study it a bit, or use that opportunity for them to educate you, like, what's happening there? Okay, so this is, so just be educated about it. It shows, and be genuinely so interested. It helps. And then fourthly is protect them. Protect them. Yes, because you need to protect them from themselves, because at times people go through struggles. They have self-doubt. They'll do fatalistic thinking. They'll think nothing is ever. So you need to protect them from them, okay? And then you'll need to protect them from other external forces. Often the bad people outside are very well-meaning, okay? They'll be coming in with very well-meaning, but they'll do insensitive things because they're not there in the trenches every day with you as you're struggling through these things. So you need to protect them.
And they don't even know
what you're struggling with, you know.
Yeah.
And some of them will say really nasty, ignorant things, and they'll say it with the conviction of an evangelist, but they say really nasty, ignorant things. It's your duty as a friend to then say, like, literally forgive them, they don't know what they are saying. And where possible, educate that person that, hey, what you've said is not. So, case in point, we've never used contraception, never, And so one guy says, like, this whole thing of planning children before you have them is bad. I'm like, what man of idiocy? That's really what I'm thinking about in my head. Like, behold what man of idiocy you're speaking, but I know you're coming from a good place, so I'll let it pass, And then I'll make sure I tell Karen, like, just forgive. There are those circle of friends. And at least fortunately, such statements at times come from people who are on the outer ring. And at times people who are close in will say nasty things. So if Karen doesn't need to know about it, just let it, you don't need to come and rehash them to Karen at the end of the day. So, and the other way of protecting them is like me reassuring Karen, like, but and I said, I don't want a kid. It's not because I want you to feel okay. It's, I'm okay. So let's just deal with you. Mimi pati yangu genuinely niko sorted vizuri kabisa. So I think those are some of the practical things. And then now when you don't treat them like their diagnosis, be also invested in the other things. Go hiking, go test Karen's cooking, and enjoy it, and improve her music taste by introducing to her new music things and stuff. So you keep yes, ati kila mtu anasikiza tu Geitha kila siku. You sprinkled in some Luya stuff that she then realized she loves. She didn't know what she was missing until she got introduced to this other heavenly music, aka Luya and Zulu music. Yeah, so I think those are some practical things.
Yeah.
It's interesting on the protection, actually. So, of course, I'm sure Saya did a lot of that in the background with people that I did not know. And then out of these friends that I told, there was once an elder in church said something really mean, a mean comment.
To you or to the congregation?
To me.
Okay.
To me. And it was, I think we were like 3 or 4 people there. And then he made a very mean comment. None of these other friends was there. But I remember feeling so bad. I told these other friends, I told 2 of them, so-and-so said this and this and this. They actually approached the so-and-so And the next thing I knew was the so-and-so was coming to apologize. That's a much older person, an elder in the church. But the so-and-so, I think they just, faced him and told him, look, I don't know what they said. But at the end of the day, I think protection, especially if you can do such things where that is possible, that is how protection plays out. And I felt so thankful because this person never said anything mean. And it's not that they're a mean person. It's the thing Saya was saying, that some people make comments and they think they're helping you, or maybe it's just in their personality to make very unthought and brash and uncouth. The word that comes to my mind is uncouth. Like there are people who just talk like that, right? And so this was one such person. And when my friends told him and he came and said, I'm so sorry, and never broached that matter again, I was very thankful for that. So protection is actually quite important.
Yeah. And I'm happy that, you had this friend, you had a very, a loving spouse who was, ready to protect you with both his, abilities. I don't know if you carried a spear, at some point with your loyal blood. But I know, waiting for those 13 years.
It was actually 12.
Or 12
so
years.
I feel like the woman who waited,
Yes.
who had an issue of blood in the Bible, for me it was
12
such a
years.
perfect 12 tribes,
Yeah.
12 gates in
Yes.
heaven. I felt so special to have waited for 12 years. Yeah, because the baby is conceived just at about the 12th year. Yeah.
When are you able to share that moment that you learned about the conception? And
People will think, oh my goodness, what's
Anticlimax.
an anticlimax?
yeah.
I think we're
Let's
just
hear
a
the
weird
anticlimax.
couple.
So I think first disclaimer, as Karen will tell you the story, is this: we'd stopped. Like
Okay.
we had when we say we'd reached acceptance,
Yeah.
it's not spiritual talk. We'd
No,
reached
it's not.
we'd reached acceptance. If you spoke to us last year, a time like this, about our plans, there was no child featuring in those plans, none whatsoever. We had very, other plans. A child was not in any one of them. So our life was going on without them. So it's not like, those people who are saying, at that point, we're trying, we're going for, no, so there's no, we're trying to do IVF, we're trying to do this
Kienyeji
fertility tea or
dawa.
this traditional. No, us guys we'd reached a point of like, this story, God has other stories. He said, this one is a no. Let's just move on. Create other family ideas and ministry ideas, and let's immerse ourselves in them. That's the situation we are in.
And in fact, to just, before we come back to this story, is I had made a pact with God when I was closer to 40 and told him, look, the age for giving me a kid has passed. Okay, if you do this, just know I'll be very mad at you, because I had just reached that point. I'm like, I'm not at the point where I want to start running around with a baby tafadhali. Please, let's just know that we've sealed this deal. I am fine. We are okay. We're in good books together and we're good. And surprisingly, this was the very phase, like the past 4-5 years has been that phase of acceptance where I was praying for my friends. Like I'm in a group called Waiting Wombs for people who are waiting. And sometimes in my prayer, I'd be like, Lord, just bless these women with a child, because you read people's stories and you're like, these ones, someone's life has stopped, literally. Like that, it's their identity that they don't have a child, that they're childless. And you can see the pain and sorrow they're in. And I was like, I feel so privileged to be not at that space. And I was actively, like last year when the conception happened, I was actively praying for another friend of mine, to get a baby, because I'm like, she really wants a baby, Lord. Please give a baby to her, because I think that will just, make her feel complete and feel like you care about her.
She prayed with a VPN. So the prayer was answered.
It's very interesting. Every time I hear conception stories, I hear this part that someone was praying for this person who conceived was praying for someone else, and then
Next time you're praying for pregnancy, be clear. Remove the VPN, lest you have a very. We actually have a friend who was praying for Karen to get a child.
Yes, a very close friend.
That friend is the one who got
My best
pregnant.
friend, actually.
The friend got. The friend got. So toa VPN ukiombea hii maneno.
So she got pregnant and then she called me and she's like, Karen, I was praying for this baby in your stomach. But now it was very difficult for her to tell me that, because I think she for a long time she stayed at the point of prayer. I didn't know she was even continuing to pray. But I think for her it was a burden. She now tells me that she just felt I would always make such a good mother, and she didn't understand why the Lord had decided not to give me a baby. That of all of them, she felt it was me who should have a baby. And so for her, that was so difficult. It was a personal struggle with the Lord, for surely this baby's in the wrong tummy,
Yeah.
Anyway, but back to your question for our anticlimax. I'll let you do the anticlimax because it feels so plain.
So Karen was having a foot problem that she needed to have checked. Okay. So then a few days before that, we were. So one night she goes to pee like 100 times. That's my way of exaggerating, but she was peeing like she's never been a drunkard. She's never drank alcohol. So the only other closest is either she was a drunkard or something. And she was like, hey, I've been peeing too much. So that night I just Googled and said, it's a sign of pregnancy. So of course, for us that was a joke. We laughed at that.
So the peeing was only one night or multiple nights?
It was one particular night. Like
just one particular
night. We're like, hey, she's like, I'm peeing. And even me, I noticed like, hey, the trips to the bathroom are rather mini. So Googled and said like, yeah, it's one of the signs of pregnancy. And then we had our Sarah moment, a healthy dose of laughter, and that passed. So now she's going to have her foot checked, and her periods have delayed. And marginally. And because she has endometriosis, it's not abnormal. It's kawaida. But so she goes, tells them like, okay, you guys, before you do, they needed to do an X-ray. An X-ray, like my periods is mechelewa kidogo. It's nothing much. It's nothing much, but yeah, see, you can. And then they're like, okay, let's do the blood test.
Yeah, okay.
They did the blood test first.
Blood test.
Yeah, then we will let you.
Because remember, it was marginally, and I hadn't even thought. I have never been the one to go buy a pregnancy kit to test. Never. I don't even own one. Like, I have never done that.
History tulikuwa tumeondokea kabisa. Like some of these things we didn't even know. So, she gets the results. Okay, and I think she's in denial. I was at work. Okay, so. I come back home like, yo, how are you doing today and stuff? And yeah, but they did Hosi get back to you. So she cheated me. She lied like no, they said they'll send me the results.
It's true, they said they'll send, but it was on the app.
Okay, yeah, they'll send me.
So I said, yeah.
Yeah. So
they will call me.
Yeah, so they said they will call me. Yeah, so they said they'll call me.
Yeah.
But she'd already seen on the app on the app there is, but I think she was either in denial or whatever she was going through at that time. Yeah. So I remember it was after devotion and stuff. I needed to work on something for the next day. So she was going to sleep early. So what she did is she told me, okay, I'll give you my phone. You look through, but then just don't tell me whatever they say until they call me. And I was an honest, faithful husband. I went through. I saw the results. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is happening. But yeah, I had agreed to a pact of silence, And so I think they called her the next day.
Yeah.
And they confirmed to her. And we used to work such that I'd come from my workplace and go and pick her, and then we walk together. So we discussed the report as we walked home that day. It was like a business meeting.
Literally.
As we walked home. It was
So-
very...
So
Are you able to
undramatic.
walk me through? I mean, to role play that conversation for like, I
that's
don't know,
hard.
for
No, that's
10
why
lines or something.
no, it's...
Try. Okay, let's try.
I don't even remember how to role play this one. I just know how I kept feeling, which was, is that why she not bringing this up if the phone call happened and the results are there? I felt a bit gagged. And I think she was not sure how to broach the topic. So I remember I'm there feeling like, why is she KG guarded about it? And I don't know what she was feeling at that time, but we get talking and stuff. But the good thing is by the time we got home, we're like, okay, this is happening. It's several pinches, like it's happening. It's not a dream. And then we prayed. We prayed. Like I remember when we got home, we prayed and just asked for God's guidance and stuff. And part of the reason why it was also because of the immediate environment was happening. We knew Karen just accepted a new position in another state. From where we were at that time, we're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we knew she was going to be moving, and the whole math of when it's going to happen and stuff. So there were many other moving pieces in it, but my first instinct was to pray. So we prayed together, and then from there we embarked on breaking the news in a cascaded way to different friends from there.
Yeah, so there were those who asked, there were no tears and screams. And I think it was also because of where we were, honestly. Remember that prayer I had made and told the Lord, I'll be mad at you. It was that point of just total contentment.
Have you been mad at all?
And surrender. Interestingly, there wasn't. Because the way it happened, I was like, it happened at a point that it should never have happened. My endometriosis was getting worse. I was thinking maybe the next year I should schedule a surgery and have it checked out. I wasn't trying so hard to live. I mean, I generally just, eat well. And so I wasn't trying anything out of the ordinary to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And so how it all played out, I think I realized that it was totally God's hand. And I guess that's what I needed to realize that.
Let me add something there. So before we even got the news, we're recording this podcast in our house. When Karen was coming for her interview in Indiana, one of the things she needed to do was, secure a house. And so this house is, back in Pittsburgh, we lived in a one-bedroom apartment. Was adequate. It was like really, really, really nice, for us. And so when we were coming, and the way this deal, the landlord was part of the team and everything happened, it was so nice. And we got it at what was a considerable rate. But
that's also before discovering.
That's before discovering that she was pregnant. We got this house. We'd locked down on it. And, one of the things we were thinking, like, man,
why are we taking such a big house?
Do we need a house that big,
But we're like, he's been very nice to us.
He's been very nice to us.
Take it for some time as we look for a place.
Yeah, and the house is near the workplace, and what he's asking for is not bad, and he's been very supportive and stuff, and it made sense. Then once we've settled that, this news comes, and we're like, oh no. Kumbe, this is what God was doing. Like he foresaw the need, and he went and pre-provided for it. Because I'm imagining a scenario where we'd come and got in another 1B apartment like we had done in Pittsburgh. It would be, we could raise a kid there. We had neighbors who had children, but heck, it's way better here. Like the kid has already a room, and there's space in the back where they can play and stuff. So God had, pre-provided such things. God and Karen a full 10-year job.
Missed another job that broke my heart at that point. Broke, literally. Like, I don't think we can explain how broken I was.
Yes. She really wanted another job, but now we look and realize, if she got that job, the job would be extremely demanding us, like gazillion hours of travel and those crazy number of hours a week and stuff like that. And now we look back and realize God just knew, girl, you're soon going to be a mother. And the point you'd either be joining or beginning in this other job, had you taken it, is the same time you need to be having this kid.
Literally.
So I'm going to have to block this path for you now. So like when you just look at the doors God had closed and the ones he had opened, and this had, remember the word surrender here is being thrown, but it's ukweli, like he was leading. It's not like we'd sat and written the script down, but the doors he'd closed, the doors he'd opened, the houses he'd given, the jobs he had given us, the place he had given us, the job, the community around it. And then now when he drops in it, the whole announcement to us about a baby, we're like, there's no even room to scream or shout. It's more of that, like, have you watched a really well done movie where you thought it's going this way, then towards the end, a curveball comes and you're like, whoa, like something that happened like at minute 40 of the movie you thought was random and stuff. Then you figure somewhere minute 75, you're like, wait a minute, that's why this thing happened. Like, so God had done that kind of thing. So I think more of our attitude was like, when William say, you're that guy, you're that guy. So do we still have questions? And definitely we do. We're still on this side, but we know enough to know he has been in this, that, hey, those are the things that are coming next. Will we make mistakes? Definitely, I can assure you. But will we be better? Yes, if we keep trusting God, yes, we will.
Mm-hmm. I want to stop this here.
Yeah.
And I had promised Karen that it was going to take between 1 hour, probably 1.5 hours. We are at 2 hours and 2 minutes. I don't know how much of this is going to make in the podcast, but a lot of it's going to be there because I think it's very, very informative and very helpful. We've had an amazing conversation, but I want to finish this here now. And thank you for, allowing me to hang out with you and sharing this very deep conversation with me. I was telling Saya 2 days ago that he's very deep, but now I can even say you're even deeper, after spending some time with you. But I want to ask you something. Is there something that you would like to say? Maybe I didn't, give you an opportunity to say it before, but, you've thought about it and probably want to say it too. We've talked about many things. We've talked about, families in North America. We've talked about, children and, the marriages and, the blessing that God has given you in your marriage. Mm. So if there's something that any of you would like to say or both of you would like to say, you can say it now as we finish off here.
God is not some mystic figure. He's real. And how we know he's real is how he continues to manifest himself in our day-to-day lives. I think when we read the story of the Israelites and the Red Sea opening and Hannah and her waiting and praying for a baby and Sarah, it feels so far-fetched. But when you listen to a story like this, you're like, oh, that same God is still at work today. So I think in whatever waiting experience you're in, which is a perspective I want to talk from, it's to remind you that God's thoughts are not our thoughts, and his ways are not our ways. And that's just the truth of what it is. So know that he will show up. I don't know how. For those who are waiting, it may not necessarily mean getting a baby. It may mean just that peace that surpasses understanding. So it's the end. The end should be something that you let him decide. But I know that when he shows up, it will be beautiful, whichever way. So whether you're waiting for a spouse, waiting for a baby, whatever waiting experience you're going through, just know that God is still, it reigns over that situation. And if you allow him, he will make everything beautiful. It's not a myth that the Bible verse says, beauty into ashes. Ashes into beauty. That's what this story has been, and I pray that it will be for you as well.
Before you declare that marriage is hard and so you want out, or that marriage is a scam, so you don't want in, you need to ask yourself, which marriage? Or is it your idea of marriage? So if your idea of marriage is being served without serving, having your needs being met without question, having all the rights and none of the responsibilities, getting somebody to serve as your savior, if that's your idea of marriage, then yes, that kind of marriage does not work. But if your idea of marriage is more like a potluck where I'm bringing something and my partner Karen is bringing something and we are sharing on this and we are on this continuous quest of making and holding each other to be the better versions of ourselves, that kind of marriage works. And notice how many times I've said that word works. It's not automated, it works, okay? But it is rewarding work. It is rewarding work. Everything worth having is built, it's not bought. And so it is with marriage. In the waiting season, you're not being broken, you're being built. And maybe the thing that at times just needs to happen effectively during your waiting season is for you to get out of the way and to see the beauty in it and to be blessed for what's coming next. Those are the things I'd like to say. And now, tongue in cheek, when I was writing my recent book, The In Between, I was doing it, of course, with the full knowledge of this in between I am going through. And so the book is out. I'm going to request that you get yourself a copy. It's going to help you through your in-betweens. Like, it's the principles that have helped Karen and I go through our in-betweens, and I'm sure they can help you too. And yeah, I need to buy diapers and milk for the newborn. So please buy so that my child does not go without diapers. Thanks.
Yeah, the link to Saya's book, The In Between, is in the description of this video. So you can go there right now and buy the book if you haven't already. Saya's written another book as well, When the Grass is Green on the Other Side. You can find that book on probably next to that book as well on that website, I believe. This has been a great conversation, Saya and Karen. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit here for 2 hours and 7 minutes now to have this amazing conversation. And I hope that it blesses you wherever you are listening to us from or watching this from. This has been the Couch Connect, crossing over with
Authentic Dialogues.
The Authentic Dialogues. Till next time, do take care.
Peace.
Kwaheri.